All right, guys, welcome to the pitcher baseball rules clinic. I'm giving you the wrong slide here, so hang on. It'll be this slide. Okay, so this clinic, we're going to concentrate on the pitcher and what they can and cannot do in their different positionings and what the penalties are here for the pitcher. So without any further ado, we've already talked about rule changes, so we're going to kind of skip over those again. So last week, we reviewed substituting and coaching, starting and ending a game, and then the dead ball suspension of play. That includes those dead ball tables, right? So today, we're going to talk about the pitcher. If we can, we'll get into the batter. Rule 8 is then the runner. And rule 9 is, I don't remember off the top of my head. I know 10 is the umpire. 9 is scorekeeping that we don't really care about, except for there are a couple scorekeeping questions on the test. Not really sure why, but there are. All right, so talking about pitching, I know we mentioned it last week. The pitcher can start in 2 positions. There is a windup or a set. There is nothing in the book that says they're windup, hybrid, or set. This is not Major League Baseball, so they do not declare one way they are. Their pivot foot is either parallel or not parallel. And I'll talk about and give you examples of what these look like. So the pivot foot, non-pivot foot, back foot or front foot, right? The back foot is what's on the plate when they pitch. The front foot is their stepping foot. So the back is the pivot because the rules call this the pivot foot. Non-pivot foot is that front stepping foot. Hybrid stance. I put the terminology hybrid stance in here so you guys know what we're talking about. Okay. So if the pitcher pivot foot is parallel to the pitcher's plate, he is in the set position. If it is not, he is in the windup position. Okay. That's as simple as it is. So here's the interpretation of that. The pitcher may not have their pivot foot parallel to the pitcher's plate and then take a step backwards with their non-pivot foot. That is an illegal pitch or balk with runners on. So that back foot better move when they take a step back. All right, let's look at these. This wind-up position, pretty clear, right? He's square to home plate, even though it's being square or not doesn't matter. It's that pivot foot is not parallel. He's in wind-up. This way, also pretty clear. His back foot is parallel to the pitcher's plate. He is in the set position. Okay. This is also legal. Same thing as the last one. His foot is parallel to the pitcher's plate. He's in the set position. This is also legal. His back foot or pivot foot is not parallel. He is in the wind-up position. Okay. Any questions about these? So we're wind up, set, wind up. All right. In the wind-up position, the pitcher is not restricted how they hold the ball. They can hold it in front of them. They can hold it behind them. They can hold it in their glove. They hold it wherever they want. The pitcher is limited to not more than 2 pumps or rotation. That's kind of preventing that Louis Tion thing, right? Where he's kind of up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, right? It's not more than 2. Okay. After the pitcher starts the motion to pitch, they must continue their motion without interruption. Okay. So once they start to pitch, they've got to finish pitching. If the pitcher wants to step off the rubber or to change position, they have to step off the rubber first. I promise you will see this in middle school and JV. They will be in the windup and then they will just move to the stretch. The penalty for that is a balk. They have to step off first. Okay. During the delivery in the windup position, the pitcher may take a step backwards, sideways, then forwards with their non-pivot foot. Okay, so that's the step backwards or sideways, and then they step towards home to deliver the pitch. Okay. Other than that, they may not lift their pivot foot. The pivot foot, when they take that step back, their pivot foot kind of, gets into the little hole of the rubber. It's going to come up and up off the ground a little bit, but they can't pick their foot way up off the ground. Okay. If there is an illegal pitch or a balk, the ball is immediately dead. If no runners are on, a ball is awarded to the batter, and if there are runners on, runners move up one base. Set position. The pitcher shall have the ball in either their gloved hand or their pitching hand. They are restricted on how they hold the ball in their pitching hand. It shall either be at their side or behind their back. They cannot start with their hand in their glove. They cannot start with their hand on their head. It's got to be either at their side or behind their back. Okay. Before starting the delivery, the pitcher shall stand with the pivot foot in contact with or directly in front of and parallel to the pitcher's plate. And the pitcher shall come set without interruption and in one continuous motion. This is your cannot double set. The pitcher shall come to a complete and discernible stop. Okay, a complete and discernible stop. A change of direction is not an acceptable stop. Okay, there is no time frame for a discernible stop. It is, did he stop? Yes or no? Okay. The ball must also come to a stop below the pitcher's chin and in front of the body when they come to a set position. Okay. Penalty for any illegal pitch. No runners are on. Ball is awarded to the batter. Or runners on. Runners move up one base.
Hey,
Pitcher
Steve,
position. Yes.
quick question. You talk about a pitcher in a set position who's standing straight up, bends over to look in to get a sign, then bends back, then comes back straight up. Then he wants to bend over again to look at the sign and then comes set. How is that, is that a balk?
That is a block. Why?
It was not one continuous motion.
Correct, but there's also another reason.
Well,
You can make the argument that when he goes in to look at the sign and he stands back up, he has started his pitching motion. And we'll see a video of this. And started his pitching motion to come set and did not come set. That is a block.
okay, so if he's leaning over,
Yep.
then stands up,
Yep.
and then brings his hand together, that's the same thing, correct?
If
Or is
they're
that different?
two different acts, right? He can lean over, look in, get a sign, stand up, and never come to a complete stop, then bring his hands together. He's fine because it's still one continuous motion.
Okay, but if it's distinct motions, then it's a balk.
Correct.
Got it. Thanks.
Yep. Pitcher positions. When a pitcher is attempting to field or throwing a ball to a base while clearly off the pitcher's plate, the status of the pitcher is that of an infielder, except for when a batted ball passes but does not touch the pitcher and then strikes an umpire or runner. But what this is saying is if the pitcher steps off, then throws to a base and it goes out of play, they are a fielder, not a pitcher. That is two bases from the time of the throw. If he is in contact with the pitcher's plate, so a jump spin where his foot does not come behind the rubber, stays in front of it, that is him as a pitcher. It is one base. If it goes out of play. Okay. Pitcher infractions. Illegal acts of pitchers include applying foreign substance to the ball, including spit. They're not allowed to spit on the ball. The ball is dead and the umpire may eject. The umpire must replace the ball. Okay. Purposely defacing or discoloring the ball is a penalty. The ball is dead and the umpire may eject. The reason why this is such a big thing is because back in 1920 something, the Yankees pitcher, or sorry, baseballs were super dirty, and rainy day, a pitcher hit a Cleveland Indian in the head, and he actually died from his injuries. This is before helmets. So after that, they outlawed. They used to put dip on the ball, like chewing tobacco, so you couldn't see it. So that's no longer allowed. Okay. Bringing the pitching hand in contact with the mouth without distinctly wiping it off the pitching hand before it touches the ball. Every time a pitcher does this and engages the rubber, it is a ball. Okay. Wearing any items on the hands, wrist, or arms that may be distracting to the batter. So if you think it's distracting to the batter, they must take it off. They may not wear any tape, bandages, or foreign material that could come in contact with the ball. Essentially, no bandages, no tape on their pitching hand. Okay. They may not wear a white or gray undershirt with long sleeves. Okay. The above three infractions, the umpire shall not allow the pitcher to pitch until the infraction is resolved. The pitcher may use rosin, right? The other thing that you want to take care of is any pitcher is not allowed anything other than a long sleeve undershirt on his pitching arm below his elbow. Okay, so no wristbands on his pitching wrist. Okay, nothing there. Okay, also no jewelry on that arm. More pitching infractions. The pitcher must pitch to the batter or make a feint to or play to a base within 20 seconds. This probably only happens about 20% of the time. If you think Major League Baseball is fast now, at some point we will have a pitch clock. You can enforce this. Okay. Penalty is this: a ball is awarded to the batter. Okay. Warm-up pitches. The starting pitcher may warm up with not more than 8 warm-up pitches completed in 1 minute from the time of the first 1 minute from the time of the first throw. Relief pitchers may warm up with not more than 8 warm-up pitches. They also get 8. However, they have 1 minute from the time of the first. Should be first throw. At the end of the first inning. Apologize. Okay. No, I was right. I apologize. I read my own thing wrong. Relief pitchers are just the between innings with a new pitcher. No more than 8 warm-up pitches, or in the middle of an inning, 8 warm-up pitches, 1 minute from the time of the first throw. Returning pitchers may warm up with not more than 5 warm-up pitches completed 1 minute from the time of the third out. I apologize. I didn't mean to confuse anybody. So it's 8 for new pitchers, 5 for returning pitchers. Okay. The umpire in chief may authorize more due to weather, injury, or ejection. Okay. Again, if it's more than the 8 or more than the 5, the pitcher being replaced cannot come back into the game unless you deem it's for weather. If it's for weather, you can allow the other pitcher to come back in. Injury or ejection, you cannot. Okay. Any questions? I got a kind of a funny video here, so.
Hey, that's a balk. Oh, it's a huge balk. You gotta call that balk. Ridiculous balk. I've seen a more blatant balk. See, blind, that's such a balk.
What exactly is a balk?
A balk. That's when the pitcher on the mound is, there's a guy on first base and
You've no idea what it is.
Could you guys hear that?
Yes.
That is probably most umpires when they first call a balk, right? So that is, if you guys want to watch it again, I'm happy to play it again, but that is a balk. Okay. It's just duplicated here. Okay, so let's talk about balks. Penalty for a balk is an immediate dead ball. All runners move up one base. Okay. All of the following acts are balks while in contact with the pitcher's plate. This is 2 pages long. Any feinting towards the batter or first base and the ball does not cross the foul line. That's a balk. Failing to step with a non-pivot foot directly toward a base, occupied or non-occupied, when throwing or feinting balls in attempt to put out or driving back a runner.
You have to try to get past this.
This is Dennis. I'm going to mute you, by the way. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, Dennis. I was going to mute you because you have background noise. So this is what some people will call the 45-degree line, right? For a lefty pitcher, where if they step more to first than to home, they're good. If they step more to home to first, they're not. It's a balk. The rule book doesn't say anything about 45 degrees. It's they step more to first than home, then he's fine. If he steps more to home than first, he's not fine. You can't step to first and throw to second. That's a balk, right? So, got to step directly toward the base. Throwing or feinting to an unoccupied base, except for the purposes of making a play. This exception is key. If there's a runner on second base and he takes off, and that pitcher just steps and throws to third, and that runner is going to third, is that a play or not?
Yes.
That is a play. Okay. That is a play. He's attempting to get somebody out. Okay. So, cannot throw or feint to an unoccupied base except for the purposes of making a play. The guy is stealing second, stealing third, and he throws to those bases and there's nobody else there. That is not a balk. Pending. He was stealing. You got to use your own judgment there. Okay. Also, an appeal play is a play. So if you have one out, runner on third, fly ball to the outfield, the defense thinks he leaves early. They throw the ball in the pitcher doesn't step off and throws directly to third. That appeal play is a play, but they better make it clear before they throw it. Okay.
Steve, can you hear me?
Yes.
Nobody's talking. Does that mean they're not aware that that was a play, or are they waiting for you to give them the answer?
Somebody answered me on purpose of making a play before.
Yeah, yes, somebody. How many people we got on the screen?
13.
13. And you got one, you had one response?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll jump in, Dennis.
I was muted.
Oh,
Sorry.
Jeez. Okay.
You know, I had a couple years ago that very play, Steve. Runner on second, stealing third. The pitcher throws to third. The coach on one of the teams who purportedly used to be an umpire years ago, minor league umpire.
I already know this is a bad story.
No, not Dennis. No.
Ooh,
But
Oh my God.
he
He's
came
referring
out.
to an attorney telling this story.
He came out and wanted me to call it balk. He said that's an unoccupied base. I said no, it's not. He's making a play. Well, when I was umpiring, that would be an unoccupied base. I said, well, I don't know about that.
Is that the
No,
guy from
you should have
Christ?
said,
Is that the guy from Christchurch?
Yes.
hey, you should have then said, now you know why you're not umpiring.
ooh.
Okay, continue.
So
Steve,
the same thing applies with the guy on first going to second.
Runner stealing second from first, spinning the throw to second is legal.
Steve, what we consider fainting is it doesn't have to be the arm motion. It's just the foot, right?
Correct.
So if a right-handed pitcher has a runner on second and the runner breaks, he takes his non-pivot foot and just steps toward third and keeps running, that's good, right?
Yeah, because you can fake the third in high school.
Okay.
You don't have to throw good.
Yeah, you do not have to throw to third or second in high school.
Good,
Making
thank
it
you.
an illegal pitch from any position is a balk with runners on. Taking a hand off the ball while in set position. So imagine somebody comes set and then they take their hand out of their glove,
Pick their nose.
whatever, fix their hat, that's a balk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Failing to pitch to the batter when the entire non-pivot foot passes behind the perpendicular plane of the back edge of the pitcher's plate, except for in painting or throwing to second base in an attempt to put out a runner. What the hell does that mean? Okay, so when Dennis is in B position and you got that lefty pitcher, right?
Mhm.
And your move in there, because you probably still ain't gonna call it, but you're gonna make the coach look like you're watching, right, Dennis? You're also looking for this.
Did you actually say Dennis was in the B position?
Dennis is behind the plate.
Oh,
He don't.
Is
do
there a
Dennis is
it.
B
behind the plate.
position?
I'm
Is
sorry.
there a B position behind the plate?
I apologize, Dennis. When you showed us what you would do if you were on the bases,
Thank you.
right? Coach is going to complain about this. It's almost impossible to see, but again, just make it look like you're looking for this. Okay. But be aware this is a test question. Continued. Failing to pitch to the batter after making a movement that the pitcher habitually uses in delivery. So remember you said before when he looks in and he's going to come up and then he would come set. But if he comes up and doesn't come set, that's a movement that he habitually uses in his delivery. It is not, oh, he does it every time, so it's not a balk. That's not a correct statement. This is, he does it every time and he didn't deliver. That's a balk. Okay. With an exception, if the pitcher stops or hesitates due to the batter asking for time or the batter steps out of the box with 1 foot, it shall not be a balk. The umpire shall call time and start anew. Notice, steps out of the box with 1 foot. The batter may not cause a balk. The best way to remember that. The batter may not cause a balk.
And who can call timeout?
The umpire.
Thank you.
If the pitcher stops or hesitates due to the batter stepping out with both feet, a strike shall be called for violation of these 2 rule numbers. So if he steps completely out of the box and the pitcher doesn't throw a pitch, it is a strike. Okay. If the pitcher throws the pitch in that situation, either situation, if the pitcher throws the pitch, in either of those situations, a strike is called. So, If the pitcher delivers the pitch while the batter steps out with 2 feet, 2 strikes are called. Yes, that's an actual rule.
And yes, Rolando had the balls to call that about 5 years ago at Trinity. Remember that?
That's
Rob?
right.
How many people did
I'm
you
proud
eject?
of it.
Nobody,
Nobody.
but the coaches were kind of hot.
Kind of. If you have the cojones to call this, you better be ready for a coach. You better know the rule number too. 624D. Okay. Standing astride or within 5 feet of the pitcher's rubber without the ball. So just so you guys know what 5 feet is, 5 feet is the dirt area. Some of them might be 4.5, some of them might be 6, but you're not out there measuring them. So just if they're in the dirt, it's within 5 feet. If they're within 5 feet without the ball, essentially doing the hidden ball trick, that is a balk. If the pitcher quick pitches with runners on, it's a balk. Okay, a quick pitch is an attempt to catch a batter off balance. That is the definition.
10 o'clock it was gonna be on. And it was midnight.
While in the windup, making more than 2 pumps or rotations. Dennis, can you mute yourself again?
I'm good. Oops.
While in the windup position, failing to clearly step off the rubber or deliver home. So if they're trying to go from the windup to the set, especially in middle school, and they just pivot, then that is a balk. They've got to clearly step off. Continuing. The pitcher may not lift either foot except the non-pivot foot in the initial step forward, backward, or sideways, and the subsequent delivery. We've already talked about that. While in the stretch position, not going to the set position in one continuous motion without interruption. Okay. Not coming to a complete and discernible stop with both hands in front of the body and below the chin. Again, these are all balks. If they make more than one stretch, it is a balk. If they turn the shoulders to look at a base after coming set, it's a balk. If they do not clearly step off the rubber with the non-pivot foot to change to the wind or stretch position within the 24-inch pitch plate, which essentially means they have to step off directly backwards to step off the rubber. They can't step off by just moving their foot off the rubber. Okay. Delivering an illegal pitch from the stretch position, starting in stretch, and then taking an extra step backwards. Okay. Those are all the ways you can balk. Okay. So let's watch some videos of some balks. Okay.
Wawa's up and ready for you every morning with fresh coffee, hot sizzlies, and more. Mornings made easy. Staying at third is LeMahieu. That one bounced up and got Brian Knight, the home plate umpire.
Let's see. Let's just skip to 2:30. Let's skip to 2:30.
See the curveball right over the top. And
Okay.
also,
Here we go.
Luke Voigt might say he should have called it. And now, well,
Let's watch that again. Can we go back?
well, probably one where obviously was not the best throw. Also, Luke Voigt might say he should have called it. And now, well, from the lines ago. And just like that, Dyson is on third base, and Aaron Boone is at the deflected.
As we're going to let them explain what this was. Did anybody catch it?
You show it again?
Did he
sure.
come? He came
Sure,
straight up without. He didn't stand straight up and then step off. He stepped off before he came to a complete stop.
Got it off
Here,
his glove.
let's watch it.
Probably one where obviously was not the best throw. Also, Luke Voigt might say he should have called it. And now,
Okay, so what was it you said?
He should have came straight up and then step off. He stepped off before he came to a complete stop. Or the set position.
Your thought process is correct. Terminology is not quite there, which is okay. You got the call correct. So let's watch, see how they explain it.
From the lines ago. When just like that, Dyson is on third base and Aaron Boone is at the plate. An obvious disagreement with that plate call. Did Boone just get tossed?
Oh, sure.
Matt Goldberg with this game. The play. Boone clearly.
All right, so watch.
Here.
Did you guys see that? I know it's subtle, right? I would say at a high school level, don't be that good. This is more for explaining what it is and why it was called, right? He starts to come set, doesn't stop, and then steps off. So he started his habitual motion to deliver a pitch and didn't. If he would have come set and then stepped off, he would have been fine. Okay. Does that make sense? Like I said, don't be that good. Any questions on that?
Yeah, don't be that guy, okay?
I showed an extreme one. If you're in the bigs, call this a balk. We're in high school. Okay. All right, moving on.
Between the visiting Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Diego Padres at Joe Park. That's wrapped into the gate from left center field.
Snap's first time in set position is all we're looking at. First inning, stretch, reset. We're just looking at how he goes from stretch to set. That's it, because now we go to the fourth.
Yeah, pitch. Yeah, he went. Yeah, he did. I love this angle right here. Oh, yeah, no question. Snap.
Pitcher Snell gets frustrated because he can't throw strikes and initiates a mound visit to tell the umpire it's all his fault.
Ball 3.
After recalibrating the strike zone, Snell has another runner on base. And remember what we did in the first inning.
Why did he just balk? This you got to call, right? Pitcher doesn't have pitch comm in high school, but you got to call this. Why is that a balk?
Separated his hands while on the rubber.
Yeah, his hands came together, right? His hands are together. I don't care. It's because he's trying to do a pitch comm thing, right? His hand and glove are together. And then he separates. That is a balk. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that is a balk. You've got to get that, right? We're not going to have a pitch comm situation, but that is a balk.
Because you were in stretch, you can't go towards set and then go back to
Right.
stretch.
So you see how that looks from the opposite side? And that's kind of why I always, this is why you start with your hand either at your side or behind you in the stretch position. Right? So watch, if you're behind him, hands are together, right? You've come set. That's why your hand is either at your side or behind you, because if you're behind him, you can't tell. Okay. Any questions on this one?
Nope.
Okay. Next.
Can't go towards.
Okay. This guy blocks, I think, 3 times in this video, by the way. In the same at bat. And then goes and gets it self-ejected. But let's watch.
And Harbor Freight,
We do business differently from the other guys. We design and
Marlins make the Florida lottery call the bullpen. And Richard Blyer on the pitch. They're third.
So Blyer retires the first two bases, then McNeil hits a single. Runners on base for the first time for Blyer tonight.
2 out and a runner at first with the Mets down by 3. So if you picture a pitcher, how do you?
I know that was quick, but anybody want to take a guess of why that balk was called? Anybody? Somebody. Watch it again.
Show it again. You got to show it again.
Runners on base for the first time for Blyer tonight.
2 out and a runner at first with the Mets down by 3. So if you picture a pitcher,
It didn't stop.
That's why they called it.
and a ball. Okay.
So we can see right away, it's being communicated that Blyer didn't come set. He does the wave off because he disagrees. Remember, Blyer was also ejected in this sequence.
This one got it.
Dumbass.
By pitch, Blyer.
Davey Martinez much more concerned about the health of them. And he's just got.
We don't really care about that other game.
Let's
Here,
go back to
watch.
this one.
Couldn't really tell here.
Yeah, he's arguing pretty good, but he didn't come full set.
Let's do it.
No.
Quick.
This
No,
is
he
probably
didn't.
being too good. This
It
one is,
wasn't-
that particular one was probably being too good. If his glove is moving 1 millimeter there, who cares?
813. If there's a runner or runners, it's a balk when the pitcher delivers the ball from set position without coming to a stop. The hands are the most notable part, of course, and it looks like
And the reason why I say that's probably too good, the second base umpire, the home plate umpire didn't call it, the first base umpire called it. Nobody else called it, nobody else even echoed him. So I think in this particular one, probably grabbing the shit end of the straw there.
this is a roll through rather than a complete stop. That's what the Marlins broadcast referred to. This is the closest camera angle we have to the first base angle, but you see that the glove opens up to the first base umpire. You can see it best from that position, and that's why the first base umpire is the one who makes this call.
That's when Dennis is on second there and he's going, oh man, that's really close, buddy. Really close.
Yep, that's probably what I'm doing in that situation. I'm probably going to kick some dirt around, maybe, kick the dirt off the top of that pitcher's plate saying, I got to be able to see that pitcher's plate. Bro, make sure you come to a stop for me, right? And moving on.
And you roll it back against the lefty. And he forms in for a strike. And
So they called again.
And now another ball. Oh, boy.
You can hear the umpire say, you gotta come set. That's what this rule is. That's what this balk is.
Yeah, to come set for a second. Yeah. I think that was about 2 in the course of 1 at bat. You are not allowed to argue a balk. It's automatic ejection.
I'm asked, does this need to be called on? Yeah, it's in the rule book, so it's kind of supposed to be. I'm not the biggest fan of slow-mo because it might look like there's a stop when there isn't, but as you can clearly see, there's constant movement, subtle as it might be with the hand. There is no discernible stop.
You want to bet that he holds it for like 5 seconds.
This is kind of valuable to look. Try could balk this time, but you let it go, and now everyone's confused, and that leads to further for calls.
So
a little bit hard.
he makes a really good point here. Listen to what he says here.
Brings the hands together, and you could say that he tried a little bit harder to stop this time, and that's where you run into that. Does it need to be called? Can I not call it this time? Because it's disrupting the flow of the game, and then you let one go, and he might have balked this time, but you let it go, and now everyone's confused, and that leads to further frustration. Call the
I wanted to call that out. Consistency. If you call it the pitch before, you need to call it on the next pitch if it's exactly the same. Okay. If you didn't call it, you could say I had missed one, but you can't go 2 innings, not call it, and then call it in the third when he's been doing it all game long. You got to be consistent.
Steve.
Yes.
Remember now, this is major leagues right here, okay?
Agreed.
And I know we can't argue a balk, but the kids have got to know what they did. So how would you explain it to them or the coach? What's the process?
So If the kid is receptive, I'll just say, hey, you didn't stop, you gotta stop. I may try to elicit the shortstop or the second baseman to say, you know what I'm trying to tell him, because I don't want to coach him.
There
right?
you go.
Hey, shortstop, especially on the younger kids, right? When you got the middle school or JV and this pitcher maybe never pitched before. Hey, shortstop, I need him to stop. Can you go explain it to him? Because I'm not a coach. Don't coach the kids. Tell them what they did wrong and allow their teammates to help coach them. Okay? If they ask you a question, answer it, but tell them what they did. Okay? If the coach comes out, I'm not going to holler at him across the field. If the coach wants to ask what he did, he can ask. I'll tell him, didn't stop. Normally, for a no stop, you can just give him a hand motion like no stop. They know what you're talking about. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next one.
Steve, stop.
Yeah, sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Are you going to let,
What a renovation.
when that coach comes out to speak to you and you told the coach what the kid did, are you going to let the coach go to the kid and explain it or not?
The book says no.
Exactly.
No.
But I may walk with the coach really slowly towards the dugout and tell him that's exactly what I'm going to do so he can tell him what not to do, unless he wants a visit. If he wants a visit, I'll give him a visit. And normally they'll take the visit if they're coming out.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Oh, they pulled that one.
It's always the lefties that hate the bulk.
Yep. Yeah.
So Dennis, in that situation, what would you do? Would you let the coach go talk to the pitcher and tell him what he did wrong? Would you escort the coach to the mound? What would you do?
I would let him get close. It's pretty much what Steve said. You don't want to be the coach, but somehow or another, you got to get that message to the pitcher without having that coach being charged a visit. So you might have to walk a couple steps and make sure you remind the coach, just that's as far as we're going to go. Otherwise, I'm going to have to charge you with a visit. He'll know what's going on.
Yeah. And he may say, I'll take the visit, and that's fine.
Yes, he has that opportunity.
Yep. I may give him a couple extra seconds in that situation as if I'm the plate umpire, knowing what's going on, letting him explain it, because I don't want to call balks constantly. Right? Dennis, would you give them an extra couple of seconds when you're home plate umpire? You muted yourself instead of unmuting yourself.
Absolutely.
I think we talked about this, but Umpire Classroom from that association in Georgia, absolutely fantastic videos they put up. So don't be afraid to watch them on YouTube as well as Close Call Sports. Close Call Sports also does a lot of ejection videos as well. I always find them fascinating. They're not always on the side of the umpires for ejections. They're critical when I think they need to be, because we're human, right? So, all right, let's talk about rules questions for pitcher. So let's talk about time of the pitch for set position. The time of the pitch for the set position occurs the instant the pitcher comes to a discernible stop as the pitcher is coming set. The instant the pitcher comes to a discernible stop and then he starts any movement with his arms or legs that commencing to the pitch, or the instant the pitcher moves his arms or legs to come set. This one is really, really obvious. Why? Why is this one really obvious? Somebody.
There's only one actually talks about a pitch.
It's C, the instant the pitcher comes to a discernible stop and then starts his movement. That's not why, The reason why I find this one obvious is it's the one that's not just as the pitcher is this. It kind of goes through this big long explanation. So to me, that's a red flag to say,
Yeah,
probably
it's a longer
that one.
sentence.
It is C, right? So it's the pitcher comes to a discernible stop and he starts any movement with his arms or legs that commits him to the pitch. Okay. Number 2, with runners on base, the pitcher drops the ball during delivery. It's a balk immediately. It's declared immediately to be a no pitch. If the ball crosses the foul line, it should be declared a balk, or if the ball comes to rest on the pitcher's plate, it shall be declared a strike. Somebody, what do we got?
But normally it'd be A if he had his foot on the pitcher's row.
Why?
Because that's the rule.
So if the pitcher drops the ball during delivery and it crosses the foul line,
It's a foul ball. Or I mean, it's a ball.
right. So it's not A because it's not an immediate balk. Right? Because if it crosses the foul line, it should be a ball. Right? So the answer here is C. Any dropping of the ball that does not cross the foul line is a balk. Okay?
Yeah.
So a pitched, dropped during delivery and crosses the foul line, it's called the ball.
Steve, can you hear me?
Yes.
We had in the clinic this Saturday, we had a college official do a balk in a high school game that wasn't declared properly. Do we know how to call a balk in high school?
I believe the mechanic is time. That's a balk.
Thank you very much.
Now, I will say balk, time, that's a balk.
No different. It's just
right.
In high school, it is a dead ball immediately.
Thank God.
Yep.
Immediately. We have to call balk, time, balk. We kill it immediately.
Yep.
But we did not do it in the clinic. Bill, were you in that game? Who called the balk?
I was not. I had a balk that I called behind the plate, but I killed it. So I didn't see what you were seeing because I was getting dressed or something.
No, it was our crew.
Really?
So my recommendation
Sean did it from the field. He balked it, but nothing happened. He didn't call time or anything.
Oh.
My recommendation for a plate umpire, because when you call time, you're supposed to put your hands up and call time. However, if he's still delivering, do not stand up and put your hands up immediately. Wait for that pitch to come in just for your safety. Say that's a balk, stay in your stance, and when the ball gets to the plate, then jump up and kill it. That's for safety.
Hey, Steve, I don't know about the jumping. You know what the average age in our association is.
But you know what I mean? You want to stay down. My point is you want to stay down in your stance. It is the safest place for you. Don't stand up. Stay in your stance until it's safe to come out, right?
Thank you.
Okay. Next question. R3 on third, R1 on first. So runners in first and third. The pitcher comes set, steps towards third, fakes to third to drive R3 back. He disengages the rubber, then turns and throws to first. This is an illegal move. A balk is called. This is a legal move. No balk. This is a legal move. A ball is awarded to the batter. This is an illegal move. R2 is ordered home and R1 second, and the batter also gets a ball.
B.
B.
It is B. It is a legal move. You can fake the third.
But you guys
Yeah.
come to first.
I'm sorry?
Nope.
Yeah, you can fake the third. Not a balk in high school. Somebody will tell you it's a balk, I promise. They're wrong. All right, the pitcher is not restricted to how he holds the ball when he is in the windup position, the set position, both positions, or neither positions. What do we got? When is the pitcher restricted on how he can hold the ball? Set or windup? Or both?
C.
He is not restricted in both. Is that your guess?
Yes.
Okay. Or A1 is not committed a violation. There was a bug in that rule. Anyway, so for the windup position, the pitcher is not restricted as to hold the ball. For the set position, the pitcher is restricted on how they hold the ball because they have to hold it in either their gloved hand or their pitching hand. And
No, go
the
ahead.
pitching hand shall be down at the side or behind their back.
Okay, yeah. I got it. Misinterpretation.
Yeah, no worries. Glad we're here.
Yep, amen to that.
All right. Let's talk about the batter next. Rule changes we don't need to talk about again. Points of emphasis. All right, the batter. Batting out of order. In the book, there's a lot of things about the improper batter and the proper batter. I'm going to try to simplify this. A batter shall be called out on appeal when the batter fails to bat in the batter's proper turn and another batter completed at time at bat in the proper batter's place. Okay.
That was simple.
I tried. What that means is if somebody is supposed to bat in a spot, somebody else bats for them, completes that at bat, and it's properly appealed, that batter is out. So here's an example. The order is Abe, Ben, then Charlie. I tried to make it simple, right? A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Ben comes to bat first. Ben hits a single. Before another pitch is thrown, either coach can appeal that Ben hit out of order. Not sure why the offense would do that.
Really?
But he did. Abel is declared out because Ben hit for him. Okay. So now we have an out, and you're going to take that runner off the base because he's out. Because Ben hit for Abel, Ben is out. However, Abel was the proper batter. Ben is now the next proper batter and should be hitting next. Okay. So Abe's spot in the lineup gets an out. Who hits after Abe? Ben. Ben is at bat. It doesn't matter that Ben just hit for Abe. It could have been Steve hit for Abe. Ben hits after Abe. Ben hits.
He comes back and hits again.
Correct.
Damn.
It did. However, like I said, it could have been Steve batted for Abe. And Steve was standing on first base, gets called out in Abe's spot. Ben hits after Abe. Disassociate yourself with who just hit. Associate yourself with the improper batter batted for this person. That person's out.
Gotcha.
Who hits after Abe? Ben. Don't worry about who actually hit for Abe. Okay. Appeals must happen prior to the next pitch. Once a pitch is thrown, the improper batter becomes proper and the results of that at-bat are legal. Here's an example. The order is still Abe, Ben, Charlie. Ben hits for in Abe's spot. Ben hits a single. One pitch is thrown to Abe, who comes up next. Ben's at-bat is now legalized. So Ben was the proper batter. You just skip Abe in that situation. Who hits after Ben? Charlie. Charlie is now the legal batter. If it's found with the illegal batter in the batter's box, you simply switch the batters out and keep the count. Okay. That's it. If you start going 4 or 5 people deep, you're going to get really confused. 2 rules. Who just batted, or who is supposed to just bat, right? Once you get past who is supposed to bat, if you get a pitch, now that at bat is legalized, who is supposed to bat after that person?
Steve, can you hear me?
Yes.
Make sure everybody knows it's not our job to make sure that each batter bats properly. It's not our job.
It's also not the scorekeeper's job. Tell the scorekeeper to keep their mouth shut.
Exactly. It and this will happen, guys. It happened to me in a college game, and the coach didn't know the rule. I mean, the guy's screaming at me that the guy's bad at a turn, and then they haven't thrown the first pitch yet.
You haven't thrown a first pitch. You can't bat out of order yet.
No kidding.
So Steve, let's have a little bit more challenging example. Let's say you the 3-hole hitter is supposed to be up.
Charlie.
Well, I don't want to give names to it. Instead, you got the 6-hole hitter that bats for the 3-hole hitter. Okay. 6-hole hitter gets a singles on base, and then it's appealed. Okay. The 3-hole hitter is going to be out.
Yep.
Okay. And the next batter is the 6-hole hitter or the 4-hole hitter?
Who was supposed to bat? Who just got called out for batting out of order?
Well, the batter that's the 3-hole hitter, right?
Okay. So if the 3-hole hitter was just ruled out, who hits after the 3-hole hitter?
So it goes to the next batter in the lineup after that batter's out.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, same situation, but the 7-hole hitter comes in and takes 1 pitch. Who's the correct batter?
7-hole hitter.
Correct. Because the 6-hole, the guy who just hit, his at bat was just legalized. Okay. Any questions? Just 2 rules, right? There are some rule books that will go through like 7 or 8 different things. Just 2 here. Keep it simple.
Stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid. All right, batter infractions. The batter must be ready within 20 seconds of the previous pitch and may not leave the batter's box. There are exceptions as to why they can leave the batter's box. Okay. Avoiding a pitch. There's a play on a base. Foul ball. I believe there's 6 of them. Essentially, if a pitch comes in, they didn't have to get out of away of it. There's no play at the plate at any base. Just tell the batters to keep 1 foot in the box. They know, they've been told this for years. If you tell them to keep 1 foot in the batter's box, you're not going to have a problem. They're going to say, whoops, my bad. Okay. Same thing. If they take 1 step out of the batter's box, I'm not going to be a stickler about it. I am a stickler if they step out of my dirt circle. It got to stay here. Okay. The penalty, if you've told them, you've warned them, penalty is a strike charge to the batter. Okay. I think I've only had to do this once. So if you warn them, they know. Again, batter may step out of the box for the following circumstances. If they swing, they can step out. If they're forced out of the box by a pitch, they can step out. If they attempt a bunt or a drag bunt, the pitcher faints or attempts to play at any base. If the pitcher leaves the dirt area of the mound, or if time is granted, they can step out. Okay. If the catcher leaves the catcher's box, they can also step out. And then if it gets past the catcher, they can also step out, right? You want them to get out of the way. So there's 8 scenarios. Okay. More batters infractions. The batter may not hit the ball while either foot or knee is completely touching the ground outside of the batter's box or home plate. It must be completely out of the batter's box. there probably will not be a batter's box. You better be damn sure he stepped out of that batter's box. Okay. Essentially, I'm probably not calling this unless he's physically stepping on home plate or he's completely in front of home plate. That makes the call really, really easy. Okay. Penalty here is the batter is out. Does not matter if it is a foul ball or a fair ball. The batter is out. Okay. The batter may not disconcert a pitcher by stepping from one batter's box to the other while the pitcher is ready to pitch. The penalty for that is the batter is out. Okay. If they decide that, oh, I want to bat lefty, and the pitcher's already come set or is looking in the windup position, ready to go, cannot switch. If he wants to switch, he's got to call time. Okay. A batter may not permit a pitched ball to hit him. If this batter makes any sort of movement out of the way of this pitch, I'm giving him the hit of my pitch. I'm not letting him lean into it though. Okay. Penalty here is the batter remains at bat unless the pitch is ball 4. If the pitch is a strike, it is a strike. Okay. All right. Batter's interference. The batter may not interfere with the catcher's fielding or throwing by leaning over home plate, stepping out of the batter's box, and this is the key one. Okay. Make any movement. Make any movement that includes follow-through interference, which hinders the actions at home plate or the catcher's attempt to play on a runner. I'm going to say this one more time. Making any movement, including follow-through interference, which hinders the actions at home plate or the catcher's attempt to play on a runner. That is batter's interference.
Yeah, batter's interference.
Okay. So if he swings and the coach goes, where's he supposed to go? I don't know. Don't make any movement. Stand still like a statue. Okay. That is on an immediate action after the pitch. So steal of second, steal of third, steal of home. Be a statue. The way that I explain it to people is the catcher knows where that batter is. It's the catcher's responsibility to go around the batter. If the batter moves, he's putting the catcher at a disadvantage. And that's what we need to call it. Okay. Again, I said immediate action. If the ball gets away, they've got to make a reasonable effort to vacate a congested area. Okay. When there's a throw to home plate and there's time for the batter to move away. So if the ball gets by the catcher, the batter now needs to get out of the way. Okay. Penalty for all of these. They are delayed dead balls. If the catcher puts out the runner they were attempting to on the initial attempt, interference is ignored. For steal plays where the runner is not put out on the initial attempt, the batter is out and the runners return to their bases occupied at the time of the pitch. That is the initial attempt, the initial throw to second base. Okay, the batter is out.
Steve, can I stop you real quick?
Yes.
That is so important, guys, that if that happens and you're in B position and you know that there's interference, you already know the batter's out, start moving on that batter runner, putting him back at first base. When we work in conjunction, God, it looks so damn good.
Yep. For plays at the plate with 2 outs, The batter is out and no run scored. Okay. For plays at the plate with less than 2 outs, you're taking the runner.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what confuses people. If they think on batter's interference, you're going to take the runners. You take the batter unless the play's at home. The play's at home, you're taking the runner. The reason is so that you don't have them trying to do the same thing on the next batter and hoping you're not going to call it. It is a strict penalty. Okay. Clearly, somebody at some point tried to take advantage of it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put this in. Okay. If the pitch is strike 3 and in the umpire's judgment prevented a double play, the umpire may also declare the runner out. That is your strike him out, throw him out, double play. However, I'm going to overarching. This is a delayed dead ball. If that catcher gets the out at home, throws him out anyway, gets an out on that initial attempt, you're going to ignore the interference and the out is going to stand. Okay. Any questions?
Steve.
Yeah.
If we have more than one runner on and we have interference on a batter on strike 3, which runner are we getting?
Where did the catcher throw the ball? Where was he attempting to throw the ball?
So where it's where he attempts to. Okay. Got it.
Okay. All right. Batter's interference. If a broken bat interferes with the fielder making a play or hits the ball or a runner, there is no interference. That ball is live and in play. This is much more common in wooden bat leagues, but every once in a while, these really expensive, cheap bats break. If the whole bat is thrown and interferes with a fielder or hits a ball a second time, interference shall be called. Okay. A batter is out when they enter a box with an illegal bat. It is an immediate dead ball. Okay. If it is found after the at-bat, the defense can choose to take the result of the play or declare the batter out if discovered after the at-bat and before the next pitch. Okay. Batter is out when a third strike is not caught with less than 2 outs and a runner has first base occupied at the time of the pitch. Okay. Excuse me. If there are 2 outs or if no runner occupies first base, the batter is not out unless the third strike is caught. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Okay. Also, a batter is out when a third strike is caught, a foul fly ball is caught or interfered with by a spectator, an attempt to bunt the third strike is foul. Any member of the offensive team, other than a runner interfering.
Oh, somebody shut the back.
What?
I don't think he's talking to us.
Oh. Thank God.
Any member of the offensive team interferes with a fielder attempting to field the ball. The coach's box is not the safe haven. I will also mention this. It does not have to be physical. It can be verbal. If there is a fly ball towards a dugout and the dugout starts yelling to the first baseman or third baseman, I got it, I got it, I got it. And that player reacts. That is interference. You need to call that. Okay. The team playing with 1 less than starting number, that turn at bat is reached. You can start a game with, you have to have 9 to start. You can finish with 8. If you're finishing with 8, you gotta, that at bat is an out. If a batter enters a game as an illegal substitute and is discovered, As a batter, he's out. If a batter intentionally deflects a foul ball, which has a chance of becoming fair. This also applies to runners. I'm going to tell a story because it actually happened to me a couple of years ago. Runner on third base, batter at bat, hits the ball down the third base line. Big lip in the infield. So, you know, with the mounds on both sides between the dirt that goes down to third base. Hits that lip and takes a sharp right-hand turn. Runner on third reaches out, catches the ball. He caught it in foul territory. But I'm telling you, that ball took a sharp right-hand turn and was going fair. That runner is out. Okay. It was the third out of the inning and I have to place any runners. But also applies to runners. All right. Any questions on batters before we go through our last couple of rules questions? I know, and then I'll go into DH because I know that there's somebody here that wants to talk about DH and kind of what I do. Any questions before we go into the rules questions?
No.
All right. Rules question number 1. Batter 1 hits a home run out of the park. He misses third base, and the coach grabs him and shoves him back towards the base so he can touch third. Due to the ball being dead, this is not considered assisting the runner. The actions by the coach are ignored, and B1 can score. Even though the ball is dead, the coach's actions are considered assisting the runner. The runner is called out immediately. By the way, this was a test question last year.
Yep.
The ball is dead, and the coach is restricted. B1 is not called out, but the coach is restricted due to his actions. Does anybody remember this question from last year or want to take a guess?
The runner's out. And the coach is restricted.
Okay. This is where the rule book gets dumb.
Yeah.
Okay. Any runner is out when they're physically assisted by the coach. So he was physically assisted, right? He got shoved back.
Yep.
No coach shall physically assist a runner during playing action. No. Playing action. We're not done. Here's the case book. B1 hits a home run out of the park while rounding third, trips over third. The third base coach helps B1 to his feet. The ball is dead, and since B1 is awarded 4 bases for the home run, he's allowed to score with this type of assistance by the third base coach. Mr. O'Leary.
Uh-oh.
The book doesn't say anything about types of assistance. There are different types of assistance, by the way.
What's it called, Bill?
Why did you call me out, Marco?
Because you're the lawyer.
I'm off the clock, gentlemen.
All right. Because there are different types of assistance, the accepted interpretation of this is to prevent an advantage to the offense. The question that we talked about last year was, is grabbing and pushing a runner during a dead ball an advantage? Is this any different than verbally telling a runner to go back if the ball is dead? Personal feelings aside of that, which is stupid. According to NFHS, in their released interpretation, which is not in the casebook, they're saying grabbing and shoving is always assisting to the point of an out is called. But the book doesn't say anything about types of assistance, which is just kind of infuriating. I don't really have an explanation for it.
What other types of assistance?
I don't know, because it's not in the book.
Okay.
The correct answer on this was B, even though the ball is dead, the coach's actions are considered assisting the runner and the runner is called out immediately. But if he helps him to his feet, it's not on a dead ball.
That's bullshit.
I just hope I don't see it so I don't have to call it, right? If he helps him to his feet and the ball is live, that is assisted. He's out. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't really have an explanation. Next question. R3 and third, R2 and second. So second and third. Pitcher assumes a wind-up position with his pivot foot on a line extending through the front edge of the pitcher's plate. His non-pivot foot is entirely in front of the line extending through the front edge of the pitcher's plate. So you kind of have to draw yourself a picture here.
Yep.
Okay. At the time of the pitch, a balk is called. All runners are awarded one base. At the time of the pitch, a balk shall be called. The runners are awarded one base, and batters are awarded a ball. Time of the pitch, an illegal pitch shall be called. The batters awarded a ball. Runners remain at their respective bases, and this is a legal position. Nothing is called. So right off the bat, just in terms of test assistance, right? We know that a balk doesn't get awarded a ball. We can ignore B, and we know that you cannot have an illegal pitch that does not result in a balk. So cannot be B or C. So it either has to be A or D, right? So what's the answer? Is this legal or not?
Say D,
No.
legal pitching position.
It is a legal pitching position.
Wow.
Pivot foot. All we care about is the pivot foot. Pivot foot is in contact with the pitcher's place and is not parallel to it. Well, my bad. It should be D. Hold on. A line extending to the front edge of the pitcher's plate. Sorry. So last year I did get this question. This was a question on mine, and this is one of those gotcha questions. I'm not sure if they ended up throwing this question out or not. If you note, there is a lack of contact with the pitcher's plate. It is a terribly worded question.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that little bit of information changes it. It's a bulk.
Yes. I don't know if they ended up throwing this question out or not, but I did get this one right last year. They do try to catch you on things like this sometimes. I think it's stupid. I think it's slimy. This doesn't help anybody. Okay. They should tell you whether it's touching or not. If they tell you he took the wind up position and his foot is not touching extending this line, the pitcher's plate, then that's a better test question. But
That's just confusing.
yes. Should take the football exam if you think that's confusing.
No, thank you. Baseball's enough.
All right, nobody out. Runner on third. R1 attempts to steal second. Batter 4 interferes with F2, but F2's throw gets the runner out. During the play at second, R3 scores. So let's kind of paint this picture. Runners on first and third. Nobody out. We got a pitch to the batter. He interferes with the catcher. His initial throw to second throws out that runner. During that throw, R3 scores. Due to R1 being thrown out at second, B4's interference is ignored and R3 counts. Even though R1 was thrown out at second, interference is still called on B4, resulting in R3 being sent back to third.
Yes.
R1 was thrown out at second, interference is still called on B4, resulting in R3 being called out.
No.
Or the defensive team has the option of taking a result of the play. R1's out at second, R3 scoring, or B4's interference, B4 out, R1 and R3 return to their respective bases. Okay, what do you got?
Guy going a second's out. Runner goes back to third base.
Why?
Interference. He could have made that play. Could have made a double play.
Okay. How was there a possible double play?
Well, they threw the guy out at second.
Yep.
The guy, that second baseman could have turned and thrown the ball to home to get the guy out at home.
Why didn't he?
Because the batter interfered with his throw to second and delayed it.
Okay, but he still threw him out.
He threw the guy at second out, yes.
So let's go back to the batter shall not interfere with the catcher's fielding or throwing, right? So we got that. He
Yep.
made some sort of movement. We got interference. The penalty is when it's a delayed dead ball, right? When an attempt to put out a runner at any base is unsuccessful, the batter and all runners must return to the bases occupied at the time of the pitch. But that initial throw was successful, right?
Okay, all right,
So if the initial throw is successful, we ignore the interference,
okay, all right.
right? So if that
All right.
initial attempt to put out a runner, and Dennis said it earlier, it's very important to know that that initial attempt puts out the runner, we ignore the interference.
So it depends on what happens on the initial play.
Correct. If he doesn't throw him out, the run doesn't score. If he does throw him out, the run scores.
If he doesn't throw him out, the runner to second is out. Does the runner go back to third?
If he doesn't throw him out, the
Yes.
runners go back to their respective bases, first and third, and the batter is out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Batter's interference, the batter is out. Unless the batter is already out, then you can get two if you thought it prevented a double play.
I got you.
Okay. This is why, and I'm going to be clear about this, we do not need a throw.
Thank you. Had a coach tell me he's got to make the attempt to throw.
He has to make some attempt. If he doesn't make any attempt to even step to second, I'm not calling that. He's got to at least start his throwing motion. He doesn't actually have to throw. He's got to convince me that he was going to throw. Because in the first and third situations, there is a lot of times that they will purposely not throw to second base. If that is the play that is on, in your judgment, you will not have interference because there was no play to make. Right? You're on mute, Chris.
Hey, Steve, I gotta get off, man. Just kill it whenever you're done. Just close it out. But I gotta get off.
Will do. Okay. So the answer here is due to R1 being thrown out at second, B4's interference is ignored, and the run counts. Okay. All right. B5 bunts the ball, then drops his bat straight down and takes off for first. The ball goes straight down and bounces up and hits the falling bat and goes into fair territory. Because of hitting the ball a second time, the bat was not intentional. The ball remains live and in play. The ball is dead immediately and no runners can advance. This is a foul ball. The ball is dead immediately. B5 is awarded first base, and any runners advance forced due to awarding first to B5. And the ball is dead immediately. B5 is called out, and all other runners return to the base they occupy at the time of the pitch. What do we got?
A.
You got A. Okay, let's take a look. Batter runner is out when, after hitting or bunting a ball, the batter runner intentionally contacts the ball with the bat. Well, this was not intentional, right? If the bat and ball accidentally come in contact with each other a second time and the batter is holding the bat, it's foul ball. Okay. If in the case of a foul ball, it must have a chance to become fair in the umpire's judgment. This ball hit in fair territory. And it also wasn't intentional, so it was accidental. So the interpretation on this is, did the bat hit the ball or the ball hit the bat? Okay. If the bat hits the ball, think about interference. It's not always. Okay. If the ball hits the bat, it's likely nothing. Okay. So the answer to this question was, because the hitting of the ball a second time, the bat was not intentional, the ball remains live and in play. Okay. That wraps up the batter. Any questions?
Excuse me, you said so the ball is in is A?
The answer to this question is A, because of the hitting of the ball a second time by the bat was unintentional. The ball remains live and in play.
Are they gonna lose their fucking mind?
Any questions? All right. I'm gonna stay on to talk about DH. But so I'm gonna end the recording here. Anybody who wants to stay on, please do. So